In this week's video, we are going to San Antonio, Texas to explore the San Antonio Missions National Historical Park. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site that was designated in 2015. Now, everybody has heard of the Alamo in San Antonio. The Alamo actually started out as a mission, and it is now one of the most significant structures in Texas history. But you may not know that there are 4 other missions just south of downtown, and they all represent a very significant part of the history of the area. We've made it to our first stop here at the San Antonio Missions National Historical Park. This is the San Jose Mission, and this is the spot where the visitor center is at. It's open 9 to 5 daily. We're going to go in the visitor center and see what they have to tell us here. This is the primary visitor center for all of the San Antonio missions. However, each mission operates independently. So this particular one focused on Mission San Jose. All of these missions were started in the 1700s by the Franciscan friars, and their objective was to convert indigenous hunters and gatherers into Catholic, tax-paying subjects of the King of Spain. We're going to check out the missions, and we're going to visit with these people who were taken in by the Franciscan priests right here. And this guy looks a little scary. Now, the San Jose Mission is considered the queen of the missions. This one was established in 1720. It got enclosed in these walls between 1759 and 1764 for defense against other indigenous groups. So the gate we just went through, they also closed that at 5 o'clock. So if you want to visit the San Antonio Mission, you're not going to be able to come inside the walls after 5. Each one of these doors around the perimeter wall was a living space for a Native American family. Looks like the dome is under construction. This is the main church. There's somebody dressed up in a beautiful dress over there. I don't know if you can see it. And over there in the corner is what they called, I think, was a granary, where they had enough corn stored there for over a year for all the people that lived at this mission. This is just beautiful. These archways here are spectacular. Every one of these missions are still operating as a Catholic church now, as an active parish. And so we're going to go inside and take a look at the church here. Oh, this is the ornamental. Before we go inside, this was called the rose window that had a very special display of the colonial ornamental art. And it is indeed beautiful. This window is the premier example of Spanish colonial ornamentation in the United States. There's a couple of theories on how this window got its name. The first one is very romantic. It's about a carpenter who was in love with his sweetheart Rosa, and tragically, she died on the way from Spain getting lost at sea. Okay, we're going to go inside and see if I can film in the church here. It's quite beautiful as we walk inside. Let's see. I think the music is just playing on the speakers, but boy, is it beautiful in here. Make sure you go through the church and you actually see this door after my husband takes a few pictures. The decorations on the side of this church are absolutely immaculate. Just look at this. Take a close look here. That is just incredible. this church actually had a collapsed dome and roof in the 1870s, and it underwent frequent repair. There was talk of storms that came through that damaged a lot of the structure. So major reconstruction started in the 1920s and 1930s. And boy, is it fantastic. Okay, so in this building is where they used to store all the grain. And apparently corn was the grain of choice. We're going to go in through here. I love that you can see kind of the color that they had here on the walls. A little bit of red and yellow on the, I don't know if it's the buttresses or the arches that go around the top. And here's a recreation of what the mission looked in its heyday. We are so lucky that this area is so well preserved. Oh, look over here. They have some clothing. What the kitchen would look like. Oh, this is a dwelling. So we have a dwelling here with a kitchen. This is what a typical bedroom would look like. Wow. For the whole family here on display. It's a nice fire pit. I bet it was very toasty in here. And they had the fireplace running. And here's where they would store all their firewood. Oh, over here on the bell tower, you can actually see maybe some of the original art that was painted. It's very, very faint.
They're trained in artistry, right?
Yeah.
I didn't notice this. I walked right by it earlier and didn't notice it.
A lot.
Right there.
Yes, you do.
It's not the official symbol of
beautiful.
San Antonio, you know that?
Oh, is it? No.
Okay, now we're going around to the mill, which is just around on the back side, I believe, of the church. The acequias is a Spanish word that's for the drainage ditches that they built to bring water to these missions from the river. And I believe there were 7 of them built. And some of the other missions that are a little further down south have more of it on display. But it's very significant how far they were constructed to bring water to this area. So here it shows that it has a mill and the acequia here together. So right now there's no water running. Oh, there's a little bit of water. But you can see this elaborate drainage system that they used through here. And then this was the mill to keep this a very active community. And there's a very nice system of bike trails that connects all the missions. If you wanted to bike your way down here, that would be super fun. It's like, I think about 8 miles from downtown San Antonio along the river on a protected bike path down to the missions. Now, I would have loved to have done that, but we only had a couple of hours. And so I didn't really have the freedom of time on my side. There's a total of 7 acequias that serve the different missions. It extended 15 miles and irrigated over 3,500 acres, I believe the number is. Yes, 3,500. And this mill, it does say this is the oldest mill in the state of Texas here. So quite a lot of history at this spot. And it looks like you can go inside. So again, the mill was ran by the means of the acequia. It was water powered, which are basically the drainage ditches from the San Antonio River. Let's go look inside. Now look at how deep. This ditch is so deep with these stone walls, taking it down to the bottom of the mill. We're on this little bridge here, and you can go down to the bottom of the mill. Go down the steps here. I wonder if they used to give little programs here. It's like a bunch of people can sit. Maybe you used to be able to sit and watch. Here's the action of the mill right in here. Water powered, it is not currently running. we wrapped up our visit here. We are now headed to Mission Concepcion, and there's two that we did not get to visit, and that is Mission San Juan and Mission Espada. Those are further south, and we didn't have time to visit them today, but I recommend that you go check them all out. They have a fascinating history, and they all have something different to offer. Okay, we're going to talk briefly about transportation options. Now, if you're driving in San Antonio, very easy. Google Map it, come visit them. They are spread quite a bit far apart, miles between each of the missions, so it's not something you're going to want to walk in between. We are staying near the Riverwalk, and it is very expensive to stay there. It's about it's expensive to drive there because it's about $50 a night to park. So I was going to ride the bus. There's literally helicopters and trains, so I will finish this later. Okay, I was looking at bus options. There is I think it's called Via bus system. There's a bus number 42 that goes from downtown down Roosevelt towards the missions, but it doesn't go to all the missions. Now, there was a bus number 40 that was advertised as a quick bus operating just to the missions, and I happened to call them because the pickup spot was around the Alamo, and I'd heard that area was under construction, and I was just kind of checking on the bus stop, fully planning on riding the bus here. And when I called for information, they told me that that bus route has been not running for over 2 years, but it was still on the website. So keep that in mind. Don't plan on taking that mission bus. I don't think, maybe they don't have enough, riders, especially with COVID. Maybe that took that route and put it under. But we had limited options. You can ride your bike down a really nice bike path that I talked about if you have enough time and are willing. It looks fairly flat, but it's about 8 miles, I think, down the path to all the various missions. We have decided to Uber between the two missions and to our hotel as the most efficient way. We've got a storm coming. It's getting windy. I hope it's not too windy on my microphone. And it's getting cloudy and chilly, so we only had a couple of hours to see the sights before I had to get back to work for the week here in San Antonio. So we made it to Mission Concepcion. This was about a $9 Uber ride. Just took just a few minutes, maybe 5-8 minutes, something like that, to get here from the other one. So this particular mission is the closest to San Antonio downtown. It is located just 3 miles south of downtown San Antonio. This mission remains true to the original design. This is the oldest unrestored stone church in the United States. It's the best preserved Spanish colonial structure in the United States. That's super cool. I can imagine how beautiful this must be when things start to green up around here. Right now it's winter and it's still kind of cold. But you can see how this is original. And that stone has really stood the test of time. The palm trees are a nice touch as well. And this is just tucked away in an old neighborhood. So this church used to have some art and paintings on the outside. Those have since faded. It does say that you can see some of the original frescoes, is what they call it, and it's the original paintings on the inside of the church. Now let's see if they let us go inside. It says entry to the church is actually through the rear door. This here talks about the Franciscans that worshipped here, and the Native Americans that became part of the missions. This is the architecture. Very long and skinny here. Now here's some artwork in here, if you can see it up here on the ceiling. That is some of the original artwork, a beautiful sun. Okay, church entrance right here. It's a small little, the grounds here are a lot smaller. Definitely the San Jose is really big, which is why they gave it the name they did. This is beautiful. It's hard to believe we're just in a neighborhood in San Antonio. Wow. You can see some of that original art on that wall. That is spectacular. And again, all these churches are working parishes. So I want to be respectful here. Wow, look at that. Oh my goodness, look up here. Enter right here. By the altar. And then they've got a little room over here. I wonder if this is like just an altar and communion, a bowl for communion, but look at the crucifix here. It's very faint, but I believe that is the original art from the 1700s. That is incredible. So records show that living here was difficult. There was something like 792 natives that were baptized here and something like 596 that actually died the same year. So living here was definitely not easy. This mission started in 1755 for the Spanish crown, and I believe it's the same year as the other mission. They all ended their mission activities in 1824. And in hindsight, it's probably disrespectful of me to be walking through church with my hat on. I forgot all about it. So no disrespect intended, no disrespect intended. I guess when it was secularized in 1824, it really started falling apart, but I read that about 1861, another religious group came in and took over the building and started to care for it. And so it's maintained its structure in the original form, which is pretty amazing. Let's go through. Ooh, that's a beautiful little door right there. And we're going to come in this last room here, where it talks about the Spanish crown working to build their empire. Also talks a little bit about religious life, the Franciscan friars teaching the Native Americans the Catholic religion. Some of them were receptive and many of them were not, understandably. If you only had one mission you could visit, I would recommend going to San Jose at the Visitor Center, and that is just such a spectacular, very large mission with a whole enclosed area. When I was looking online, I actually thought Mission Concepcion would be the most beautiful one, and it is beautiful, but again, it's small, it's significantly smaller than the other structures. So if I had only one to choose from, the San Jose one is the one I would visit. Now you may be surprised to know that the Alamo, even though that's popular for the Texas history and the battles that took place there, that started as a mission just like these. And so that is the 5th mission as part of the National Historical Park here at the San Antonio Missions. And hopefully I'll be able to visit the Alamo during my stay here in San Antonio. Thanks for watching this video on the San Antonio Missions. I hope you take the time to come and check out the spectacular UNESCO World Heritage Site here in the town of San Antonio. See you next time.